question about grief. And so there's two areas that I'm curious about. Those who have a hard time experiencing grief or accessing that emotion, and then those who seem to be conduits of grief for the planet in their lives and their livelihood, and how to maneuver and navigate when grief comes into your life or when grief is needed in your life. So that is my question, and let's see how they interpret that with their answers. We are not here to underestimate your capacity to experience a range of emotions on this life, in this plane, in this dimension, in your bodies. For you have an inherent ability, a canteen of information that's there at your side to give you strength, to nourish you, to propel you into the feeling of flourishment and a rainbow spectrum of all of your ideals, agendas, and observations on this planet. The question of grief, this is a good one. You see, grief is an antidote for pain. Grief is an antidote for observing qualities of unrest in your system. For those that seek no antidote for the struggle that this humanity is experiencing, may never know how to experience grief, for they've chosen to not apply the experience of allowing the depth and strength of that emotion to help move through them and thus help humanity or the people around you move in their own ways. There are some of you that are very, very well versed in grief, in the capacity to experience raw, deep sadness. Some of you, this is beyond just a gift. It's a talent that is needed by the world and by your close friends. Sometimes it is important, if you ever experienced hearing a story, hearing somebody moving through an emotion, and all of a sudden you too have that emotion, you have tears start welling up. And this is the navigation between sensations of grief. Knowing that as we are all sharing and expressing different aspects of life at different times, it is important to know when grief is knocking at your door, asking for you to be a conduit of that deep sadness and reverence, sometimes for loss, accepting the impermanence of this life, as life shows you just how fragile it is. Or injustice, feeling unable to access a path that you know you wish to be on in this life. And that grief can turn into stillness. All grief can. For to go to the very depths of such a deep, complex, slow vibration that grief holds, well, that is an opportunity to make yourself whole again. For is it not silence and slowness that allows us to feel expansive again in this world of so much rigidity around us? And so the next aspect of grief that we want to share is how, for those of you who have a very hard time accessing sadness, accessing tears, you say to yourself, why can I not cry? I cannot access, I cannot even feel where that emotion comes from in me. Most likely, there was a time in your ancestors' lineage where the crying prevented your ancestors from escaping. This is one aspect that many people have been haunted by, where the tears of a child meant giving away the whereabouts of those hiding. This may create a block in your capacity to express sadness for fear of being at the whims of a predator, of exposing yourself. That's a very root chakra avenue. Then for some of you, there was an opportunity in your life, most likely when you were 3 or 4, during that developmental stage, when something outside of you came into your sphere and allowed you to witness an injustice. Now, this injustice could be very, very abstract. It could be as simple as somebody stealing a ball from you in the park and not understanding where that way of being is, and feeling that grief, feeling that sadness, and then having the world around you say, get over it. So things like that can start creating almost a scar tissue around this sensitive emotion. For a healthy channel of grief is one that can flood through us like water. And that our water coming through our body is actually purifying and turning any emotions that are stuck in our vessel into tears and allowing them out. It's a purging, it's a cleaning. The salt water of the ocean. And so with that, we're going to offer you a sweet little song for all of you on this planet with your infinite capacity to explore your diverse range of emotions. Here we go. Bird of prey, come on down. Take your sight to the ground. Take your willingness to know what you found and grasp a hold of the lesson. Be bold, for presence and pleasure and no under the measure. The land and her quarries can't hold you ashore, for wings can take you, help you to soar. But when it's time to land and ground on earth's floor, you've got to know how to feel. Emotions are real, you can't hold to any wonder or cause, but in the depths of you there is a healthy pause that calls itself grief. So sing to the silence with tears, and sing to the stillness with sadness. Honor your patience with yourself in this process, and know that when joy comes a-knockin', you're there. So thanks for listening to that and allowing that to move through you. That was The Invisibles and me in the Nook. If you want to hear any more of our channels, any more of the episodes and transmissions that have come through, you can do so on our YouTube channel. And you can also do so by going to deepsouljourneys.com, which there's a myriad of poems and different offerings, including being able to access me and my clairvoyant work as a healer. I do a bunch of distance sessions, which are available worldwide if you're feeling called to that as well. So have a beautiful life on planet Earth. Aloha.